Hello, I'm going to present you an SSM and Mamba transformer alternatives. Initially, SSM was built in 1960 and Mamba was built like last year, literally a year ago in December. So Mamba is an improvement of SSM, and I'm going to tell you about both architectures. Well, first of all, SSM and Mamba are used for sequence processing, like transformer. Let's start with a little recap about architectures which we know. Let's start with the transformer. Transformer is a big architecture, and during training it is parallelizable. We can calculate attention for each word, like for example in self-attention, in parallel, and it is very good for training. But in inference, when we use the decoder, it is slow because it should recalculate sequentially. And this is a bad side of transformer. Also, it scales quadratically in memory. And the biggest thing why it works is a QKV calculation, which is input specific hidden state. QKV is a input specific hidden state. Okay, next architecture is RNN. RNN is a simple one where we calculate just hidden state. It is linear training and inference time. It has nonlinear activation function, which is important in our discussion. And the thing is, the hidden state updating process is a black box, meaning we can't control the updating process. In LSTM, we can control. Okay, so now we talking about SSM. What is SSM is a state space model. So what is a state space? In this example, you can see that it's a maze, and we can see the current state and the potential next state. So state is just some vector with numbers which represent some information. We can represent information in a different manner. For example, we can put coordinates, or we can, for example, put sum of coordinates and a difference of coordinates, and we obtain two numbers with the same information. So we can represent state in different manner. So here is the architecture, initial architecture of state space model presented in 1960. Here it is. It is very similar to LSTM. You see here hidden state, the matrix which represents information to put into hidden state, the hidden state output, and the skip connection represented by x times d. And we here obtain the output value y. So initially, it is a very math powered architecture, like every architecture in early days. Here you see the derivative, and yeah, so it is very similar to LSTM. You can read the state update and output notation. And here is a thing about SSM. SSM is both RNN and CNN. How we let's just see. Here you can see the kernel, which is C A times N and B. So here you can see that we can calculate the output in parallel, applying the kernel to the input sequence. For example, here kernel is size of 3 and input also size of 3. So we apply the kernel and obtain some value. So this is for token number 1. For token number 2, we also apply the same kernel, and obtain the second output. And here is the third output. And we can do it in parallel. This is during training. And during the inference, we remember that this is actually very similar to LSTM, and we can unroll. Here the hidden state is passed to another block, the input also passed, and we obtain the output. So this is very good for inference. In transformer, we recalculate the attention for every word, which is a very demanding operation. And here we just pass the hidden state, which is a very cheap operation. And how come? How we can do it? What is the reason? The reason is because we don't apply the nonlinear function to hidden states. We just pass the matrix output in the hidden state. Here we pass the input, we obtain some hidden state, then apply another matrix and obtain the output. And as you saw before, we apply matrix A the same time as the number of the token. For example, here we apply for token number 2 matrix A 2 times, and also we sum up with the previous outputs. So the benefit of this architecture is that we can cache, like pre-compute the A squared matrices, and it gradually reduces computational resources during inference. And also it is linear, meaning we can just compute the sum of previous outputs. It's cheap for calculation. So I try to explain why it is fast. But the downgrade of such architecture is that we just apply linear matrices to the states, which possibly, and I'm sure in that it reduces the power of the model. So we can somehow fix this. Oh, and here's some notes. This model is not so simple. No, this is improvements. So I'm talking about how to improve this model. First of all, in transformer, we apply input-specific transformations for inputs, like Q, key, and V. And to improve our model, to improve SSM, we also can come up with B and C matrices which will be input specific. Here we will apply not common matrix to input, but input specific. And it will be the difference with the LSTM model. Adapt matrices to discrete signal. Initially, SSM was designed for continuous signal sequences, but it is not possible in the real world. So we can somehow adapt these matrices for discrete signal. It has some math in it, so I skip it for current presentation. You can check the math here. And also we use Hippo matrix for token coefficients. Every token in our sequence has some coefficients. And should have. Currently it does not have. Currently it cannot distinguish between sentence my name is and is my name, because we didn't add time embeddings. So we should somehow add time embeddings, but it will affect our performance of the model in time. It will become slower. So we should think about it and come up with a new model, which is Mamba. Selective SSM. Learn B and C to be dependent on input X, which I talked before. Learn A to be time dependent, which I also talked before. Also, author can come out with parallel scan. So when we add time embedding to the states, it loses the feature to be like this. We cannot apply such a trick anymore. And the solution is parallel scan. Let me see the picture. So here it talks about that it cannot distinguish between sequence of tokens. And here. So here they talk about the scan operation. Before in SSM, we have the linear transformation and we apply the same matrix several times. And now, each state is the sum of the previous state multiplied by A plus the current input multiplied by B. This is called scan operation and can easily be calculated with a for loop. Meaning, here is a picture. It assumes that order in which we do operation does not matter through the associated property. As a result, we can calculate the sequence in parts and iteratively combine them. So here is a for calculating x3 state, we need to calculate the bx2 and the bx3 sum. But bx2 is it accumulates the value of the states, and it is very similar to prefix sum. I don't know this thing very good, so I try to explain as much as I can. And also in the Mamba, they use hardware-aware algorithm. Um, so they talk about that moving tensors to in the video card is a costly operation. It takes very long. I mean, moving between L3, L2, L1 cache and main memory. So they calculate, they do calculations in L memory, and only then they pass it to main memory of the video card. You can read about it also in the paper. And now let's discuss the results of this architecture. Actually, it is a state of the art in some benchmarks. So here they talk about that it scales well. It is near the transformer plus architecture. And also the thing is that Mamba is very good for a long sequence tasks. So here are like the best everywhere. And there is another picture here. Like Mamba is scales well with the batch size, and transformers are out of memory. So indeed, transformers are very big and Mamba is small. So the conclusion will be with a question. So here you can see that it is contains some derivative, and I don't know it. But my question is it adds non-linearity? Since you see we have not a lot of non-linearity in the model, but somehow it still works very nice. So maybe this hidden state actually is the adding non-linearity. So maybe we can discuss this. Okay, thank you for attention. Bye bye.